Making friends as adults is hard. There's a lot of false starts, there's awkward moments, and then there's wondering if you'll ever find anyone that you connect with. And if you've been with me during this series, you have heard me talk about the journey I've had myself over the years of moving from LA and Orange County to Phoenix and trying to find friends. And while last year, some things really came together that I don't want to say I cracked the code, but I did some things that I think changed how I made friends, and they're things I think you can do too. And so today I'm going to share with you the 3 best things I did in 2024 to help me build connections and get back some of that community that had been missing. Plus, stick around for a bonus tip that took some relationships even deeper. It might not be for everyone, but I think it's worth sharing. Welcome to the Creating Opportunities podcast. This is a place where we help smart, ambitious professionals create better relationships for success. And why? Because people matter. They're messy, but they make life better and they matter. And I am your host, Cassandra. I am a speaker, trainer, an iced coffee lover. It's important you know that. And I am here to help you make deeper connections. So let's get into it. Before we dive in, let's all just remember that building friendships takes intention. It does take a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of work, not hard work, but work, and prioritization. But it doesn't have to be as daunting as it seems. So let's talk about how I did it, the lessons I learned, and how I believe you can make it happen too. This isn't just about like, hey, listen to what I did. The whole point is take these strategies and adapt them for yourself. But before we get into what went well, I want to take a minute to recognize again, there were a lot of false starts. If you listen to that first episode, you know I had false starts. I tried multiple Bible studies. I kept trying to connect at church with Bible studies, with starting a community group. I tried a book club off of a Scottsdale friend group in Facebook groups. I had tried meetups for things. I joined a friend's book club, and here and there, again, I met a person here, I met a person there, but it never really stuck. So I just want that to be said of this is where things finally paid off in 2024, but I think a lot of those false starts were needed to get me there. So if you are right now in a place of, I feel like I've tried everything, just remember, try again. Take some time to rest and restore, and then try again. But hopefully these next things can help you make this happen a little faster. So first thing I did was I joined groups that felt right for me. And I had to look outside the normal places. Like I said, I normally in my 20s, even in my 30s, the place where I could find community was church. We could do whole other episodes for those of you who also go to church or feel displaced at church. We could do a whole other thing on why aren't we finding that at church anymore? That's a conversation for another day. But basically, the main ways I'd always made friendships happen were gone. They were not happening the same way anymore. And so I had to look at some other options. So I started to look for where are some other places that felt right for me. And so the thing I did was I started joining groups around business. Now, for you, it might not be business. I'm going to tell you my part, but adapt for this. What are groups you could join? So I joined several women's business groups. These were not those stiff and strict BNI style networking groups where I have to give you so many referrals and you have to give me so many referrals. These were more, hey, we're all business owners. We're all service providers. Let's get together once a month for an event and network, but in the sense of how I see it, relationship building. So at bare minimum, this gave me something to show up to once a month per group. So I had some things on my calendar. It gave me something to look forward to. It gave me some hope of maybe I'll meet somebody there. Also, in my case, these types of groups are filled with women who are more open to building a relationship. They might see it for business purposes, for can you get me referrals, things like that, but at least there was the possibility of openness there. So this was sort of my idea of cast a wide net. I'm gonna go to these different groups where I can meet a lot of people at one time. And yes, even though I'm an extrovert, walking in rooms of new people can be intimidating. Again, think through what rooms you can walk into that will feel right for you. Where are people going to be open to talking? For example, to give you some ideas of things that didn't work in 2023, I kept trying classes. I take a cooking class at Sur La Table, and interestingly, everyone at my table came alone too, but they all kind of and I had to do a lot of work to get people to warm up and talk with one another. And there was no real way, even for me after that, to go, you know, it's really nice talking to you. Could I get your email? Like it just didn't work, right? Or I took a charcuterie board making class and I was the only person who came alone. Everyone else came with a friend or a partner of some sort. And even the owner of the cheese place was like, oh yeah, you signed up alone, right? You're the only one who did. And I went, oh, thank you so much. They were not great places to meet other people who were open to meeting new people. So by going to a place where it was going to be filled with other people who are open to meeting new people, I opened the gates to having people who would be more welcoming, more receptive, which made talking to new people less intimidating. Now, for you, it might not be a business group, right? It might be finding a hiking meetup. I think, especially here in Arizona, there's tons of hiking groups. Those people know they like to hike, and the fact that they're joining a group like that means there is some openness to meeting new people, because they could just go hike alone if they wanted. So think about things like that. What can you join in that world? Or excuse me, what can you join in your world where there is a larger group and there'd be some openness? Another one I would think about is associations for your work, like whatever the industry association is for what you do. Is there a regional version? Do they have monthly meetings? Again, that's a place to show up every month. There might be extra calls you can go on with people, etc. There might be ways to meet new people off of that. Or is there an ERG in your company where you can meet more people who are like-minded with you in some way or have some similarity to start from? But the point is casting a wide net. Choose a group that casts a wide net. Now, if you're willing to try a group, please in the comments just write groups so I know that you're tracking with me. Little things like that help me know we're on the same page. So joining groups was step one, right? That was like, if we were gonna do a fun filter graph, this would be at the top like this. Next, I followed up with people. Again, this is one where, because of the type of group it was, people were more receptive to this, but I followed up, and I didn't do it with everybody, but people I met in these different groups, I would say, it was nice meeting you. Do you ever want to do a Zoom so we can learn more about each other? People would say yes. So that really helped in getting to know people better. Now, not all those people, right, are we now best friends, but one thing it did that was really helpful was then when I go to the next in-person event, now I'm not walking into a room of strangers or people that I met for 5 minutes last time. There are people I can go up to and go, oh, hi, how are you today? And ask them more about what's going on in their lives, because we had a deeper conversation. Now, I know it's really easy to look at that and go, well, yeah, you were at like a networking event, so people there are more open to that. For sure, that's why it worked for me. But I think even in like the hiking group scenario, you can still adapt this. Let's say you're on the hike and you talked longer with a couple of people than the whole group. You could say, hey, this has been really great talking with you guys. By any chance, do you want to go get coffee? Or, hey, after the next hike, do we want to go get breakfast together? Like, again, I know this means putting yourself out there, but if we want relationships, we have to put ourselves out there. We have to risk a little bit of rejection. And you know what? They might say no, but I don't think they're going to say no and like no, you're crazy. It might just be, oh, I'd love to, but I always have my kid's soccer game after this or something. You know, it's not going to be like a rejection of you. So I think it's worth trying to figure out, how do I take that big thing and then how do I go inward to a couple of one-on-one things just to get to know a couple people better. But then the next step is how I went back out. So this is my favorite thing I did all last year. I created a standing lunch date. And I invited people to this lunch. So remember, I joined different groups. I took people I'd met from those groups, people I'd done one-on-one calls with. Some people I hadn't. Some people I just had gotten their information when we were at a meeting. We talked for a while. I enjoyed them. And I put all these people on an email together and said, hey, I would love to go to lunch. So this worked because people want to meet other people, because FYI, other people are lonely too, or just want more friends, or want to connect with different people, or want to break from their day. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of people now have one-off friendships, but many are missing a group. Because we're not all in the same activities all the time, we're all kind of like going all over. We have like that person we have coffee with over here, that person we go walking with over there. And that's fine, but it also makes friendship almost feel a little bit more daunting because everything's a one-off, we don't get like consolidated time with a lot of people. So all these one-off people I invited to a lunch so we could all get together and all meet each other. And honestly, it's been one of my favorite things because again, it's a standing thing on my calendar. It's something I can look forward to every month. Once a month is manageable. And I have heard from numerous people from the group, I love these lunches. Thank you so much for putting these together. Now, why I chose lunch is because honestly, as a solopreneur, working for myself, working from home, one of the things I miss about working in an office is getting together for lunch with coworkers and saying like, hey, do we want to walk across the street to the Habit today? Or getting a coffee together, etc. Those like communal breaks from the workday. And I know all my small business owner friends don't get that either. And so I said, well, why should those folks have all the fun? Let's bring that back in. So it was the thing I wanted to do, and I just invited other people to do it with me. The lunches, I will say, have been really helpful because I really made them simple. I always have them on a Friday. They're always at noon, and they're always at the same place. Now, for some, you could go, oh, that's boring. I'm the one creating them, and I don't want to have to think about I don't want decision fatigue every month of going, now where should we go for lunch this month? What should it be? It's like, nope, we always go to this place, and I chose a place that we all pay separate. It's all pay at a counter before we sit down, so we don't have to split a bill, any of those sorts of things. And it made, how do I want to say it? Like by simplifying those decisions and making them once at the beginning of the year, it made it really easy to keep this up because there wasn't that decision fatigue. Because all I had to do was just send an email and go, hey, just remember, lunch is next Friday. Are you going to be able to make it? I didn't have to go, wait, which date is it? And what time is it at? And it's always at noon. It's always at the same spot. So while it doesn't have to be lunch, right? You don't have to do the exact same thing I did. I would suggest create a standing appointment, invite people to come do that thing with you, and then keep it consistent. So whether that's a late coffee on Saturday mornings or a walk on Thursday nights at a certain park or happy hour somewhere, truly, sky's the limit. You could have people come over for jewelry making every other Monday night. It doesn't matter what it is. Just keep it a standing appointment. And then the thing that was nice was as I met new people throughout the year, I had something to invite them to. Hey, I have this lunch. I would love for you to come join. So I really encourage you to take those one-on-one friendships and then bring people together. Now, if you think you could ask a couple of people to go get lunch, hit the like button. Doesn't have to be 20 people, 2. Could you go invite 2 people to come join you for lunch? Hit the like button. So those are 3 things I did that I think were really helpful. I joined a lot of groups to cast a wide net. From there, I narrowed down to get to know some people one-on-one, and then I invited those people and others into a lunch invite. So that's what helped. But then a little bonus tip, there's something else I did that was a really nice mix of business and deepening relationships at the same time, and that was hosting a mini mastermind. For my business friends, let me just tell you, this was a real bonus win. For those of you who maybe have never heard of a mastermind, they're very common in the entrepreneurial space. They are essentially a time where people get together and one person at a time gets in the hot seat and shares a problem or thing that they're needing feedback on in their business, and then everyone else brainstorms ideas, etc. It's amazing collaboration. It's sort of a brain trust. You get ideas you wouldn't think of. You hear of problems that hadn't arisen that you can now solve. Like, it's very helpful. But most of these are done as these very expensive pay to play. I'm talking like 5+ figure price tags. And they're week-long quarterly events or weekend quarterly events or etc. where you're having to spend like 3 days in a spot because 20 people are going. And yes, great, that's a lot of feedback that you get. But I realized I don't need to pay for it to get the help, and I don't need weeks of time. There are ways I can do this myself. Now, I'm not knocking masterminds that you pay for. There are benefits to some of them. I think some are grossly overpriced, but there are benefits. But a lot of what those have, I realized I could do that in an afternoon. Like, this doesn't need to take all this time. So I decided to host what I called a mini mastermind. It was one Friday afternoon. I invited 3 other business owners over from one of these groups and let them know ahead of time, this is what you're committing to. We each get, I think it was like 15-20 minutes to present what's going on in our business, that one problem we need help with, and then each of us got time to go around and share what we thought they could do to help with that issue. So we'd each get about an hour, including the break. And then when we were all done, we would go out for dinner. And we did this twice, and it was super helpful for business. It provided an opportunity to get closer to some of these women, to learn what's going on in their businesses, but it didn't have to take days. We did it in an afternoon. So this was a way to then take kind of that larger lunch group and then make it smaller again in just a very specific amount of time. So this was just a bonus thing that I did last year that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was worth sharing with you. If you don't own a business and you're like, well, this doesn't work for me, maybe it's an accountability group for something. Maybe it's a craft night that you host once a quarter with a group of 5 friends or something like that. Like, the idea is you made the big group, now we make another small group for certain things. You make a smaller group for certain things if you want. I just thought it was worth throwing this out there. If you want more info on that mini mastermind and how I did it, maybe like a PDF guide walking you through it and the emails I sent, etc., will you let me know in the comments? If people say that, just put PDF and I'll know. I'll create that. But I just don't know if that's something people are interested in or not. So let me know. Okay, so those are the things I did. Let's talk about some lessons I learned that I think could help you. Again, relationships take intention. Now, I said this at the beginning too. They take a little bit of work, not hard work, but work. It takes intention to sit down and send an email. It takes intention to say, hey, do you want to get on a Zoom? Here are some dates available on my calendar. Or organizing a lunch, but it's not overwhelming. Honestly, putting together those lunches took about 20 minutes of planning at the beginning and 10 minutes every month to remember to like send out an email and send out a reminder message. That's it. But those small, consistent efforts built real and meaningful connections. That's the hardest step, is saying, okay, I'm gonna block out 15 minutes of time right now to go invite people to something. But once you do, the benefits are so much stronger and so much bigger than that 15 minutes. Okay, next, a big theme if you've been listening to all the episodes in this series, make effort, not force. Again, not everyone is interested in going deeper in friendship with me, and that's okay. And they might not be with you, and that's okay. So we're gonna put in effort. I'm gonna invite people to lunch. But when they say no a bunch of times, or they don't respond, I'm not gonna keep inviting. Or if they never message me for anything, why am I putting in all the effort? So focus your energy on the people who are excited to connect with you. One last thing I'll say is that taking these steps last year, joining a big group, talking one-on-one, inviting a group to lunch, taught me that I am not the only one craving connection. I think we know that now. That's why you're watching this video or listening to this podcast episode. Now, you too might be craving connection, and if so, I do have a free guide. It's a connection messages guide. I will say it's more for building your business relationships, but in my head, business relationships are also friendships. They're just in your business world, so they can still work for you. You can find a link to it down in the description box below or in the show notes. And honestly, that guide is just a ton of templates, of swipe files, if you will, that you can copy paste and use for yourself to connect with people and start taking these relationships further. Okay, we have one episode left in this series. So until next time, please remember, people make life better. Keep showing up, experiment, and invite others into your life. There are people out there who will receive that invitation and be so glad you asked. So with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.